Ready, set, go.
Hello, welcome to an album reaction. I'm Tall Lanky Guy, you can call me Connor. For those that follow my channel, thank you so much for your patience as it's been a while since my last album reaction. Thank you for your patience as I've slowed things down on this front. Part of making sure that I make the best stuff that I can, making stuff that I'm proud of, is making sure that quantity does not end up prioritizing over quality. And I feel like I'm able to do that with these being a little bit less frequent than they had been in the last 2 years. I'm very excited to kind of slow things down and make sure that things are as good as they possibly can be when I'm making them. Today, we are listening to an album that kind of came out of nowhere for me. I think I had a sense that they were making new music, but then the album just kind of came out and someone told me that they were coming out with a new one, and I was like, oh, didn't they just have a new album out? We're listening to Persona by Half Alive. I definitely did an album of theirs, if not earlier this year. I did an album of theirs last year. So, quick turnaround with these guys, but I'm very excited. It's going to be interesting listening to these guys. I mentioned in the last Half Alive album video that they are one of the few out-and-out Christian bands, or bands of Christians, bands comprised of Christians that I still listen to. And if any of these songs touch on that element of their identity as a band, which I have no doubt that at least one or two of the songs probably will, I'm gonna have some mixed thoughts. I'm curious as to see how that's gonna manifest itself, and how I'll feel about it and how they communicate themselves in it. But until that time, I wanted to mention the album cover for this particular album. I'm gonna have the art come back up here. It's one of the more interesting album covers that I've seen in a while, specifically because it makes me deeply uncomfortable. Look at this shit. This is some, like, don't hug me, I'm scared kind of shit. But it is also, like, it makes me feel things, which means it's a very effective album cover. I don't know what it makes me feel other than discomfort. Like, all of the colors are gross colors. You got the, like, weird forest puke green on the one puppet. You got the, like, ugly 90s sweaters going on there. You got some weird textures, a lot of different materials going on there. I don't like it, but I like that it makes me distinctly not like it. Right? I respect its ability to make me feel bad. So I just wanted to get that out there. There's no info on Genius as to sort of what this album is about, if it's about anything particular. Maybe when they were making their past album, maybe they just ended up making a whole shit ton of music and ended up, making 2 albums worth of album-worthy music. I mean, I guess we'll find out whether we can consider it album worthy. I don't know how strong this album is going to be because I haven't listened to it yet. With that said, we have 11 tracks with a compact length of 32 minutes. This is a short album. One of those tracks is, in fact, the first one is 32 seconds long. So it's really more a 10-song album in spirit with 32 minutes of runtime. So Not too terribly long. Let's get started. We're going to start with track 1, Persona, and then it'll lead directly into the second song titled Sophie's House. Let's find out what the frick Persona is all about. Ooh. Okay. Immediate pitch bending. Got some synths. Ooh. A little bit of strangs in there. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, that's a weird texture. Oh. Oh, we're getting... Okay. Okay, strings are working back up. Okay, where are we going into Sophie's house? Ooh. Oh my god. All right, let's talk about that transition. Again, the weird mix of the like discordant strings and the fact that they were like sort of pulsing in and out and at weird intervals made me uncomfortable. But it made me uncomfortable in like so intentionally that I gotta respect it. That was so well pieced together. And then to have that lead so directly into this like groovy, basically 4 on the floor with a nice bass riff, immediately takes some of the pressure off. I'm engaged, but I'm also more relaxed. Very, very nice choice. Well done, guys. Ooh. There he is. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. What's that? Very pokey little guitar there. What is that? That's so weird, but I like it. Do we? Oh. Right. Ah. Right. Ooh. Okay. Nice. Leaving it nice and open now. Ooh. Those synths, the way they're kind of like bump 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 bump, gives me very strong like sort of like 80s sort of art rock, art pop kind of deal. Do you have things to say about the synthesizers? Say it into the microphone. You're clearly an expert on synthesizers and music production. Say your piece. Say your piece. Or you can just sit on my lap. No, you didn't. You just wanted me for a platform to get onto the bed with. All right. Ain't that just the freaking way it is? One interesting thing that I tend to notice in a lot of like indie rock, pop rock, is sometimes when you're making that shift from like during the verse, drums are doing like a sort of a 4 on the floor where you're doing the 8th notes on the hi-hat, but in the chorus we're doing 16th notes. It's the ticka 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 ticka, and a lot of the time what you can often do is have the drums keep doing just an 8th note, just keep doing the ga, and then you also record a tambourine over it to have that like 16th note sort of rhythm in there. But I can tell that they're just going straight into a 16th note on the hi-hat. There's a little bit inside baseball, but maybe that's what you're here for, because it's really easy to put a tambourine take in, But it's interesting that they probably, I guess that didn't feel like it would have fit into the sound of the song. It's interesting to kind of note the routes that you don't take that are often sort of the paths less traveled, which are in fact just having the drums do their own 16th note rhythm rather than having that tambourine there. If you listen close to a lot of pop songs, that go into that like ticka 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 kind of rhythm, like I'd say like 8 times out of 10 you're gonna be hearing a tambourine in there. So the fact that they're not doing that in this, I find interesting. Oh, saxophone solo. Okay. Saxophone solo with some chatter. Sure. I love. Ooh. I remember all the lights we nearly crashed, taking on the longest drives. Times are changing. You and I are changing. We're opening way up. Ooh, we're getting the strings in here. Nice. Very cool. Okay. Okay. Nice. Keep that bass going in there. Very cool. Oop. Okay, we're leading into something there. I can tell. But we're gonna stop for a moment. I was gonna say maybe this is because I'm coming from being a drummer in a rock band and not like these guys are like a, indie pop rock alternative band. One of the things I really like to make a point of doing, I like to have each chorus as you progress through the song have like a slightly different energy. It doesn't have to have completely different energies, but I'm someone that likes to have a really big chorus at the end. I like being able to go all in on the final chorus, and I think that tends to be one of the things that one of my gripes with a lot of pop music is that you'll get that bridge that's very clearly like building up to something and like opening up. You get all the strings and stuff that I mentioned, and then you just kind of like sit back into the same chorus that you've heard a couple times before already. Making a small criticism here. That was a cool song. It was a bop, but I think they could have gone a little harder in that last chorus, especially if you're spending that bridge building, which is a very, very common use of the bridge. You gotta be building up to something. You can drop out at that last chorus, and that's a choice, but you gotta build up to a build-worthy choice. If you're building up to the same thing that we've already heard in the rest of the song, it's not really worth building up to. That's just my thoughts. But let's take a look at these lyrics. Oh, Half Alive had a thing about this song on Twitter. Speaking of which, if you want to follow me on Twitter, don't. I'm on Blue Sky now. I'll probably have the link to that down in the description. I'm done on Twitter. I'm just done. My profile is still there because I don't want it taken over by some other freaking spam account. But I'm not posting on there anymore. If you want to follow me or the things that I say or my uploads, follow me over on Blue Sky. It's a nicer space. It's a better energy over there. But Have Alive said on Twitter, as we developed Sophie's house, an idea emerged that we kept throughout the entire record to boil every song down to its most essential elements. Okay, interesting. Lyrically, the song explores the years of life that feel the most free. Under your parents' roof, summer break from high school, autonomy before any real responsibility kicks in. It's the kind of freedom we don't recognize until it's gone and we're reflecting on it. But the song doesn't just bask in nostalgia, it begs the question, can you turn nostalgia of the past into a wonder for the present? Yeah, it's like that thing that Andy says in The Office near the end, where he's like, I wish you could know you're in the golden days before they're over. That kind of thing. I wonder if they're getting at. Now, the idea of boiling a song down to its essential elements, I find interesting and kind of have some mixed feelings about. I think a large part of the point of making art is being able to take some artistic licenses. So my impulse towards art is to not boil things down. Like, when I'm making art, that's my chance to put whatever extra that you want. Whatever extra you want, you can put in. Because it's your art, no one else is going to put that into your art. But we'll see how that manifests itself in the rest of this album. We're only really 1.5 tracks in. But I would advise caution, personally, following that rule. I think as like an editing tool, that's nice to have to make sure that you're not like bloating out your art, making it more than what it needs to be. But that doesn't mean that you have to like vacuum pack whatever you're making, whatever that means to you. But let's take a look at these essential elements, talking about the years of your life that feel the most free. So we're talking early adulthood, late teenage years, early 20s, late teens. Let's see how they describe this. First one, savor the good days, savor the long drive home, savor the memories knocking on your door. Times that were dangerous, times that were wonderful, hours we wasted were hardly a waste at all. So that's kind of our opening statement. That's kind of the crux of the whole thing. Maybe those very, very chaotic memories of being young and being irresponsible and having free time and not having as much responsibility can feel like you wasted a lot of time in the freest years of your life. I think this, and I think this is what they were communicating it as well, is that that's kind of the point of those years, is to not worry too much about how you're maximizing your time. You know, you're not trying to boil down your teens and your early 20s to its primal, to its most barest essential elements. You know, there's gonna be messy parts about it. You're gonna feel like you're wasting your time at some times, and that's what that time of your life is for. The chorus is, times are changing. I don't want to waste it. Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. Am I stuck here dreaming, scratching at the ceiling? Why? Tell me why. Tell me why. Do I chase that feeling? Wish that I could see I'm having the time of my life. There's that last bit. There's that like being able to, in the moment, kind of zoom out and be aware of how good you have it. There's a whole play that was written a number of years back called Our Town that very much touches on that thing of like, are people ever really able to do that zoom out and realize sort of the significance of where they're at in life and the significance of the things that are happening to them that may seem small. And one of the characters in it says, most don't, maybe some of the poets. And that is, I think, one of the uses of making art, is you get to sit and reflect and kind of process the things that you are going through and be able to appreciate them for what they are in a more immediate way than, you know, thinking about it years down the line and feeling nostalgic about it. Kind of gives you a tool to appreciate those things in the here and now. And that's really it. This is one of the things about boiling a song down to its essential elements is if you're saying everything right away, making your point, and then carrying on, you don't give me a whole lot to talk about. A lot of the time, if you're being a little bit more cryptic, giving it a little bit more artistic license, letting things be a little bit more abstract, then I can spend some time breaking that down and talking about it. But they didn't do that. So we're going to keep moving to the next song, which is Automatic. Oh. Oh, all right. Yeah. Sure. I like that. I like that percussion. Sounds like a brush on the snare and then a stick on the rim. I like that. Cool. Yeah. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Ah. Oh. Very nice. Ooh. One of the things that I've always found with Half Alive is sometimes they might as well be 21 Pilots. And I think this song could very well have just been on Clancy. Specifically, this song feels like it could fit on the Clancy album. I'm glad that Half Alive made the song, because, you know, clearly it wasn't a song that 21 Pilots wrote, so I'm glad that someone did. But Half Alive, while Half Alive has always occupied a slightly different energy than 21 Pilots, but I feel like there's a lot of overlap in that Venn diagram. They're both bands composed of Christians. They're one of those like mainstream bands that write songs about their faith. They both occupy the worlds of pop, rock, a little bit of hip hop in there. 21 Pilots more so, but Half Alive tends to do a lot of like rhythmic choices and a lot of like beats, sounds that fit into the hip hop R&B kind of sound. There's a lot of overlap there. And this is a song that I really, really like, but it also might as well be a 21 Pilots song.
People speak out, people are free. In my head, wondering what are we losing. In my head, wondering is it too late? Calling my daughters, my shadow.
I like the sound of that snare. Very high. I think they might be producing that snare. This is me getting a little nitpicky specifically on the drums, but it's what I noticed because it's what I do. It sounds just a little bit higher and a little bit tighter in the verses than it does in the chorus. And the chorus, fittingly, it's a much bigger snare sound. Like the sound takes a bit more time to kind of fade out. Meanwhile, in the pre-chorus and verse, it's very tight, very poppy. It's cool to kind of like have that difference of sound depending on what section of the song you're in. Okay, all right. We're drowning this shit out. Okay. We're panning back and forth. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Nice. And then we're all in. Ooh. Guitar solo? Guitars? Whoa. Whoa. That was weird. There we go. Very good. Woo. That's what I'm talking about. With the final chorus, you go big in the final chorus. That's what you do. Going big doesn't have to mean you're railing on the ride cymbal and getting it all crashy and whatnot, but it means that you gotta put a little bit more energy into it. And in this case, that means keeping that hi-hat driving through that chorus when it was otherwise more of a halftime feel. In this case, they made it more full-time. That's going to be one of my favorites on this album. That was so cool. Big fan of that. Let's see what they have said about this one. Similar to What's Wrong off of their last album, Conditions of a Punk, the song speaks of anger and frustration, both inward and outward, as the world continues to change for worse rather than for better. The band's continuous theme of tension returns as Josh Taylor. Is that really? I completely forgot that was his name. The amount of overlap that these guys have between them and 21 Pilots continues to astonish me. Josh Taylor calls out society's tendency to deflect responsibility while also acknowledging our own complicity in doing so. And then the band said on Instagram, we had a lot of expressive songs on the record, but nothing angry. An angry song is a bit challenging for us, actually. We can write songs you can dance or nod your head to all day, but a song where you can thrash around or run fast to is different. A song worth being loud about comes from somewhere deep inside the gut, from looking at some ugly part of human nature and screaming at it. In this case, it's an ache for a healthy world and a call for accountability in how we are hurting it. That's so interesting to hear that they have a hard time writing an angry song, because most of what I play is in Rougarou or angry songs. Not all of them, but you know, we're a band that's very, very much steeped in the political beliefs of our band members, as is, you know, the tradition in the punk genre. And so the ability to sort of express our discomfort and our anger and frustration is a little bit more accessible, I think. And I think it is nice to be able to access that anger when making art. And I don't just mean music. As an actor, I personally love when I am given an acting opportunity where I get to be angry, because A, it's not an emotion that I feel particularly often in my day-to-day. Certainly not that I get the chance to openly and safely express to its fullest. And doing that in music, especially playing drums, is a really, really great outlet for that. It's a great catharsis, and can lead to some really, really fun sounds. And so if Half Alive, if you are Josh Taylor himself, if you are watching this, maybe spend some time safely accessing that anger. There's stuff to be angry about, as you're seeing, as you've pointed out, and there's nothing wrong with voicing your grievances if it's got that angry energy. The anger is justified in a lot of cases. Let's take a look at these lyrics. Verse 1, watch the world burn, kiss it away, notice your heart breaking like waves, paint your eyes bright, pretending to sleep, distracted while your background changes permanently. Yeah, so this has got a lot of the same energy as The Funny Feeling by Bo Burnham. Just that vague sense of living in a extremely turbulent time in history, and just being too aware of it and not really able to do much about it, I think is a feeling that we're all very, very familiar with in the 2020s. The pre-chorus, in my head wondering, what are we losing? In my head wondering, is it too late? Caught in my throat is my shot at redemption. I start to lose it. Everyone wondering, what is the future? Everyone telling themselves, it's okay. If it's all broken, then is it worth fixing? I'm sick of losing. There we go. Okay. That last line, I think, is where we get that crack. That little sliver of anger that starts to come out a little bit more in the chorus. But it's cool to have that kind of we kind of see that thought process from verse 1 into the anger in the chorus through the pre-chorus. We're kind of following the train of thought of this is what we're living in. These are our conditions. Pre-chorus is, what is our response? What do we do about it? What have we been doing about it? Which is, you wonder, what are we losing? Is it too late to reclaim any of it? Is it too late to scavenge or save any of it? Everyone wondering, what is the future? Telling themselves it's okay. You get a little bit of that, not denial, not denial, but it's a weird sort of in between of just trying to moderate and regulate your own reactions to things, because truth be told, if we were constantly reacting appropriately to everything that's happening in the world right now all the time, we would not be functional as human beings. We just would not. We'd just be sitting in our own anxiety and anger and frustration, and it would not be a good time. It would not make for a functioning human being. If it's all broken, then is it worth fixing? You get a little bit of that, I guess what you might be calling doomerism. Just that despair, that hopelessness. And then just leading right into, I'm sick of losing. It's been a shit time the past number of years. I'm just so sick of things going to the worst possible scenario, or what feels like the worst possible case. Going into the chorus, nonstop, automatic, living in delusion, look away out of habit, pull yourself together, everybody's talking about it, still you keep your head down, lose yourself in the static, blame it on each other. And yeah, they're expressing some valid frustration here. Nonstop, automatic, living in delusion. That's unfortunately kind of a survival mechanism from what I understand. Like I said, if we were always reacting to everything else that's happening in the world that we don't have control over, we still got a day to get through. You know, you still gotta feed yourself, you still gotta pay bills, you still gotta work. And unless you have like a massive sort of sense of fortitude to hold those things together at the same time, it's hard to kind of be aware of both things and actually take care of yourself. Look away out of habit. Yeah, pull yourself together. Just keep your head down. Everybody's talking about it. Still, you keep your head down. Lose yourself in the static. Blame it on each other. And while that is all valid, I've been spending a lot of time validating all of that, there are still things that should be done, you know? And part of the frustration and part of the trouble is finding that balance between finding the things that you can do, finding the ways that you can help the world, or just, you know, your tiny little pocket of the world, and then just also taking care of yourself mentally and physically. That's kind of the balancing act that you kind of arrive at. And then the last one that I'll note is verse 2. People speak out. People are freaks. Power goes out. Sweat till it bleeds. Never trust you. Never trust me. Asking how'd it happen. Find it hard to believe. This verse is an example of when a popular artist that's somewhat in the mainstream wants to talk about politics, but because they're in the mainstream, they feel like they can't. Things like how'd it happen? Like how'd Trump get elected twice? Power goes out. How have we allowed, you know, the climate situation to get this bad to where like we're getting power outages semi-regularly? I'm currently recording this while Vancouver experiencing what is known as a bomb cyclone. Not saying that that's specifically a sign of climate change, but it is a pretty harsh weather pattern. That's part of a pattern of harsh weather that's been afflicting the planet more and more and more over the last few years, right? And so you sit there being like, how did we let it get to this place? Blame it on each other, as we say in the chorus. We'd say, oh, all of these people, they're the problem. They're the ones that don't want to change, or they're the people that are trying to regress things. And there is, I think, some truth to that. I don't think to say that we are all responsible, we are all complicit. I think that only helps so much. I think it is useful and good to identify specific causes of what is going on in the world, and that can involve identifying specific people and groups of people that are negatively affecting the world in a very real way. But to boil it down to people speak out, people are freaks, power goes out, I think it is a little bit reductive, and I think kind of misses the complexity of the situation in a way that you maybe wouldn't miss that complexity if you were able to be a bit more politically explicit, as you know, a lot of, you know, harder punk and rock bands take the liberty to do. That's what I've got to say about that. Let's keep going. I'm liking this. They're giving me things to say, even if it's more my thoughts than their thoughts. I'm getting some cool stuff to talk about so far. We're into track 4, titled People. Frickin' people. Let's talk about people. I was already talking about people, but let's talk about people some more. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, we're in that 80s like triplet swing rhythm. I'm a big fan of these. Okay, all right. I love those drums, the very specific, like more musical drum fills. It's lovely.
I'm finding the sense of
guitar sounds nice.
Seeing a stranger at the light, looking like me. It's just in a nightmare, happy on the surface, in denial, praying at the service.
Oh,
It's
okay.
survival, taking shape in what they want most. They're just people driving on the highway.
Okay. Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. Ooh. What? What? That was a change. What? Ooh. That was such a weird point to shift. We're halfway through verse 2, and they like basically did like a little not a breakdown, but it was a little bit of a dropout. That was a very stark like tone shift. I like those synths coming in, but that was really took me off guard. Okay. Bridge is in fact just a quiet chorus. You can't fool me. You can just call it another chorus. Ooh. Nice. I love these synths. Okay. Right. There we go. Ooh. Oh, I like that. Cool. Ooh. Oh, we got some seamless transitions in this album. Are they going for one of the, like, are they pulling a Nonagon Infinity where, like, every song feeds into the next one? Are they doing that? I'd be very impressed if they were. The song, just reading the lyrics, feels like a response to Automatic. Before I get into what I mean by that, I'm going to read what they have written in here. Boiled down to its most simple elements, as we're apparently doing in this album, People explores the concept of Sonder, which is the realization that every other individual that one sees is experiencing a life just as wonderful and complex as one's own. The idea that while we see ourselves as the main character in our own story, we are simultaneously extras and supporting characters in others. Term first coined by John Koenig for his book The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. In the song, Josh Taylor wrestles with the idea that the strangers he briefly sees on the street are living lives with struggles that to him are just as fascinating as they are unfathomable. At the same time, he grows aware of his own role as strangers to other people as well, with the same tensions within. Yeah, that's kind of the sense that I got. And the reason that I said this feels like a response to the previous track, in Automatic, it felt like a very isolating sort of setting. You know, you've got that the isolation of like living in a world that is changing all around you, and you don't know what to do about it. And there's a bunch of other people that are causing the problems. No one else knows what to do. Everyone else is isolating themselves just to deal with it. And in this song, we're taking a step back and saying, hang on, all of these people that I have a problem with, or that are just doing what they're doing to survive, are in fact their own people and have their own lives that are probably just as rich and complex and interesting as my own. And taking that sort of moment, not to necessarily fully empathize with them, but just to acknowledge them as whole people, not just like representatives of one group or another, but whole human beings that have motivations and emotions and things like that. Let's take a look at these lyrics here. Verse 1, I am fighting the sense of a dream. Find it strange seeing a stranger at the light looking like me. They're just in a nightmare, happy on the surface, in denial, praying at the service. It's survival, taking shape in what they want most. So we're fighting the sense of a dream. The dream being idea, like in a dream, because you're in your own subconscious, you're really the only real person in the dream. Everyone else, if there are other people in a dream, are just your projections of what you imagine to be those people, whether you recognize them or not. And in the same way, it can be really easy to do that in real life. We talk about nowadays about people having main character syndrome and going about their actual lives as though they are the really only real person in the world, and ignoring everyone else's sort of internal lives, you might call them. So yeah, find it strange seeing a stranger at the light looking like me. Maybe you're seeing someone else experiencing their own emotions and having their own complex thoughts and processing their own shit, whatever their shit is. They're just in a nightmare, happy on the surface, in denial, praying at the service. We've got our first religious reference in this Half Alive album, people. Josh Taylor takes note of the many people surrounding us that appear okay on the surface, though internal struggles lay just beneath. Okay. So happy on the surface, they're smiling, but in denial, but they are in fact praying at the service. There are things going on in their lives that they need attending to, but at first glance, they seem like they're doing fine. It's survival taking shape in what they want most. That's an interesting way of putting it. Putting it in a mode of like survival, of like you are getting through life by projecting from perhaps the outside in a sense of happiness. There's a little bit of like acting sort of insight in there, and that there are two ways to go about finding your place in a role. There's sort of outside in, inside out, to be very reductive about it. Outside in is sort of finding the character through physicality, and then through that understanding their perspective, and then going from the outside traits and characteristics, following those inward and why they hold themselves that way. And then inside out is sort of what you would refer to as method acting, which gets a very sensationalized meaning. It literally just means first understanding the character's wants and needs and desires and motivations, and then applying that to how they act and why they act how they do. And so in this case, happy on the surface is a mode of maybe trying to manifest the happiness that you want and don't yet have. You can smile without being happy, and maybe smiling makes the happiness just a little bit more accessible. Just got all of that out of the first verse. Great. Chorus really gets down to it. They're just people driving on the highway next to people, living out their lives with other people, aching for the feeling of a free fall. They're just people. And that really gives a sense of that like massive expansiveness of humanity and the human experience. Of you have 8 to 9 billion different experiences of humanity, individually different experiences of human life. And it's so easy, it's specifically easy to try and reduce certain chunks of those 8 or 9 billion people into singular, like monolithic experiences of life, when it's just not that simple. we try to do that because it makes things simpler. It makes things easier for us to comprehend. But it's not necessarily something that we are supposed to fully comprehend all at once, I think. And then I would also like to acknowledge the second half of the later chorus. People smile to the driver of the taxi, driving someone crying in the back seat, wishing they were all the other people. Which is kind of that flip side of like, you have this picture of someone crying in the back seat, probably looking out the window and wishing that they were literally anyone else, right? I don't know what this particular person's emotional situation, what their circumstances are, but they're in a situation where they wish that they could be literally anyone other than who they are right now. And that's kind of that flip side of like, a lot of the time, this reduction of other people's human experiences makes it easier for us to alienate them from us based on our assumed difference. And in this case, you have someone wanting to foist themselves upon these other unknown people because their experiences are probably different, right? You get that weird give and take of like, their lives are probably different from me, negative, and in this case, their lives are probably different from me, positive. It's both of them are coming from the same assumption that other people have more or less in common with you than you think. The truth is, some people do have very, very different experiences of life from you than you might assume them to have. But also, a lot of people probably have way more in common with you than you might expect. And I think a large part of the joy and excitement of life is sort of learning about others' experiences of life. I think that's one of the great opportunities that we as social speaking beings, animals, get, is that through communication we get to learn about the variety, the wholeness of humanity and what it's like to experience being human in all its forms. You know, bare essentials. Let's keep going to track 5, Bleed It Out. Pretty sure, isn't that a Linkin Park song? Pretty sure that's a Linkin Park song. I recognize it because I'm pretty sure Bleed It Out by Linkin Park is on a Guitar Hero game. I don't expect this song to sound anything like the Linkin Park because Half Alive do not tend to sound like Linkin Park, but I guess there's only one way to find out. It's time to bleed it out. Ooh, okay, piano. A little bit of Charlie Brown vibes. Ooh. Okay. Ooh, I like that. Who's that? There's a little bit of a like Latin rhythm to it. Ooh. Oh, I love that. I'm a sucker for a halftime chorus. Nice. Ooh, that's guitar sounds good. That's a nasty tone and I love it. Very cool. That bass synth hits so well. All right, another bridge that it's just kind of the chorus. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. This is not a gripe, but it is an encouragement. It's an urging from one musician to another. You don't have to have a bridge. And that's not to say that you shouldn't have a bridge. But if you have a part that is melodically just the chorus, just call it the chorus. Just call it a quiet chorus. I understand that this, like in the composition of the song, it does function like a bridge, as in it's a bit of a break, it's a bit of a dropout before the final chorus. But melodically, I think a lot of the time these like formal terms for, modern music like chorus, bridge, verse kind of hold you back. You can just have it be a verse. I think we get very much stuck in this template of, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus. That's the template that people are following. And you don't need to. I am okay with this being called the bridge, as I mentioned, because functionally it is kind of a bridge. But I would also say that if you're going to have a section that's a bridge, you don't have to have it be a chorus. This particular section kind of tries to have its cake and eat it too, by both being a chorus and being a bridge. Maybe just write some different words. You can keep the melody. Maybe just give us some different words while we're in this slightly different energy at this point in the song. Give us a little bit of extra information at this point in the song that helps us recontextualize things before the final chorus comes in. Just a little bit of just a suggestion. That was great. I did like that. I had my one gripe request about the bridge, but other than that freaking slapped. That went so hard. I got a pretty good idea of what the song is about. It's about emotional vulnerability and honesty and authenticity. It's about letting yourself feel your feelings and encouraging others to feel their feelings, so that you can build stronger relationships. That's it. We can keep moving. Now, verse 1. Never trust a heart until it bleeds. This conversation's stuck between my teeth. At least we're talking. I don't want to say what I mean till I mean it. God, I gotta know that you're here, that you feel it. Yet, this kind of like desire for emotional honesty from the other person. Having a conversation stuck between your teeth. There's a conversation that you need to have with someone, but it just takes a little bit of coaxing out. You gotta kind of like you can't really push it. You can't really just pull it out. You just gotta work itself out so that it comes out naturally. At least we're talking. It's gonna come eventually. You just gotta be patient and let it come about. I gotta know that you're here, that you feel it. Sort of searching for that connection, that understanding that you also feel this tension. Pre-chorus is never trust a heart till it bleeds. And then the chorus is bleed it out. Give me all you got, even if it hurts. Don't hold back your heart. Bleed it out. Don't hold it back. Bleed it out. Pretty basic there. Just let it out. Even I want it. I want all the rawness of it. Just let it out, even if it's a little unrefined, even if it's not terribly nuanced. Some communication is better than nothing. Verse 2 then is, I'll disqualify my thoughts and my opinions. Dig a little grave are all my reasons. It's not easy, but I know. I don't want to feel what I feel if you're fading. Spill your authenticity. I'm listening. Believe it. So we have a little bit of self-denial going on here of if we're not going to be honest about this, if we're not going to meet in the middle, and if you're not going to bring the same energy that I'm bringing, then I'm going to cede my spot. I'll say that like my thoughts and opinions don't necessarily matter. I have all of my reasons for what I did, and I'll put those away, put those to bed, dig a little grave for them. I won't be happy about it, but it's okay. I get it. I don't want to feel what I feel if you're fading. If you're not in this and invested in it, then I gotta disconnect as well. And then just that last sort of encouragement of spill. Let it all out. I am listening. Believe that I am listening and I am here to listen to you. I'm not going to ignore what you say. I want to hear what you say. And that's pretty much it. Then they just do the pre-chorus, the chorus, the quiet chorus, and then the loud chorus. Just be honest. This is not the first song that we've covered on this channel about letting it out and letting the hurt out. It's going to come out in one way or another, in one manifestation or another. It's better to just have it be spoken on your own terms, of your own volition, than have it blow up at the wrong time. You know, just let it happen. Let's keep going. Track number 6, Long Drive, featuring Kacy Hill. Not familiar with her, but I guess we'll get familiarized. We'll get introduced on this long drive. I love me a long drive. Big fan of a good road trip. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. Interesting. Ooh, very... Alright, very... We got some water level sounds coming here. Oh, alright, piano. Piano. We got some horns. So piano and horns at the moment. Ooh. Okay.
I could use a long drive. I've been pulling every string, looking for the end. I could use a friend. I could use a long drive. I get scared.
Oh. Ooh, I like that guitar sound. I was fully willing to have this be like a quiet ballad song from like those horns and the piano. I was totally okay with this being a piano song, but that electric guitar sound makes me feel like we might be going a bit louder at a certain point. That's the kind of guitar sound that you use when you're going big, and I'm kind of looking forward to that now. Okay. Okay. There's Kacy. Okay. Okay. Keeping it steady. Keeping it low key. Alright. Ooh, very pretty. Atmospheric so far.
Look what I've become. Trying to be someone.
Oh, she sounds pretty. She's got a pretty voice. That's a very 80s guitar. That's a time after time sounding guitar. Ooh, dropping out. Okay. Ooh. Okay. All right, saxophone. Okay. All right. Jeez. Now let me. Okay. Tell me about it. Okay. Saxophone's got things to say. Very nice. Oh, all right. Okay. Okay, so they didn't get as big as I was expecting. I was fooled by that guitar tone in the beginning, but that's okay. That was nice. We could use like it was a good point in the album for a quiet part. So I see the point. Touche. There's a few ways I could probably try and read it. Let's give it our best shot. Verse 1, wake up from a dream, ripping at the seams, barely holding on. I could use a long drive. I've been pulling every string, looking for the end. I could use a friend. I could use a long drive. Then the pre-chorus, I get scared outside the lines. I latch on to any comfort I find. I get scared without a frame, but without heavenly tethering, I slip far away. Interesting. So I wonder if this is the more like faith oriented song that we've been kind of waiting for / expecting in this album. Without heavily tethering, I slip away. Maybe this is about like the idea that like one of the reasons that people tend to get into religion and hang on to religious beliefs is because it helps provide like a narrative, a framework for how they experience life. It explains a lot of things that otherwise can't really explain, you know? A lot of Christianity is like about like, why do bad things happen in this world? And it's because of the brokenness of humanity, and it's about the entrance of sin into the world, and the only way to get through that is by having a relationship with your big boy Jesus. And without that tethering, without a frame, you can get scared, because suddenly there are so many things that are uncertain that you weren't used to being uncertain before. A lot of people tie their morality and their sense of ethics to what they believe of the Bible, and what they believe the Bible says is moral and not moral. And so without that, sort of guide, things become untethered. It's interesting to go from that uncertainty, that like fear of untethering and fear of a lack of framework and narrative, into the chorus, which is you can find anything that you want. If you want, you can go looking and you'll find it. It's all there. I wonder what they're trying to say with that, because that can sound very overwhelming and very like sort of, you can get very lost in that choice, but it also means that whatever you needed from your faith or your religion, or whatever narrative comfort that you got from that, you can go and find it out there in the world, right? It's out there. You don't need a singular organization or like congregation or denomination to provide all of that. You can find it in a smattering of other places. The challenge is looking for it and finding it, and that is a challenge that a lot of people spend their whole lives searching for that. And maybe you find it, maybe you don't. As someone that was and is no longer tethered to that religious narrative, I've actually found that so much of the satisfaction and fascination and enjoyment that I have gotten out of sort of my personal philosophical life is finding those various smaller tethers scattered throughout the world, whether it be in people that you can care for, or people that give you lessons or advice, or just different ways to find purpose in the world and do good in it that are not necessarily attached to religion. It's all there. You do need to go look for it, but whatever you thought you could only find in the church, it's all out there, is my angle on it. So maybe our boy Josh is doing a little bit of deconstruction. could be an angle to take on it. I'm not saying it's the angle. I could very much be wrong. But that's kind of what I'm reading from it. Verse 2, Kacy's verse is, "Look what I've become, trying to be someone. I wander through the woods, looking for the good life. We all listen to the hum, hearing what we want. I wonder if I could recognize the good life." So maybe Kacy is now illustrating this point in someone's life where they are kind of detaching from that previous narrative that they may have clung on to, wandering, looking for the good life, trying to listen into some abstract sense of what they can find meaning in, and wondering if you can recognize the good life. If you've only had one very specific picture of good life, whatever the frick that means to you, then it's going to be hard to find that anywhere else, right? Doesn't mean it's not there, but it does make it a bit of a challenge to find it. The pre-chorus then is, "I get scared outside the lines. I latch on to any comfort I find. I get scared without a frame, without gravity to hold me down. I slip far away." So again, getting back to that anxiety of not being anchored to a single central philosophy, which is fair. That's valid. Like, it can be really easy for not just atheists, but also like what you might call ex-evangelicals, or, if you're ex-Catholic or whatever denomination you may have sort of distanced yourself from. After a certain amount of time, it's really easy to lose a sense of empathy for the people that are still attached to that, and to lose a sense of the reasons why people attach themselves to those things. It's not because they, found a group of people where they're allowed to be, bigoted and ignorant and closed-minded. It's because narrative is comforting, and because if you were to find a group of people in a sense of like social network, that's one of the really, really hard things for a lot of people that leave the church, is that church fills such a huge part in your social life, especially as a young person. You go into like youth group and just talking to the people at your church and making friends there, that when you do leave your religion and leave that congregation, it can be really hard. It can be really lonely and isolating. And it's a hard process. And I'm not saying that it's not worth taking, but I do understand people's resistance and hesitance to leave that anchor. Is often how it functions for a lot of people. And that's pretty much all there is for me to find in this. Again, this is what I was kind of looking forward to as soon as we were going to get to a song that, I guess in this case, vaguely references like a spiritual element. I was very much looking forward to having a talk about that. But we're going to keep going to track 7, past halfway into Lie, Lie. Are we lying? Are we speaking mistruths? You leave the church after one song and suddenly we're lying up the place? Ooh, alright. Alright, acoustic guitar.
Key in the door.
Nice.
Step inside. Just a look, nothing more. Shift your eyes.
Alright,
Why not?
we're zooming in.
Reaction. You're acting. It happens. You smile.
I am
It's
acting.
habit. And tell yourself you have it balanced well.
Okay.
You know,
Oh.
you know, you
Oh.
lie. You're losing
Okay,
your
do I?
control.
Alright.
Hide the signs, but some
Do I?
things are open.
Is it?
Way too hard. Keep it all together.
Okay.
Ups and close, right in.
Ah.
Hide in your heart. You lie, you lie, you lie.
Okay. Okay, alright, both sides.
In a dream.
Alright, halftime verse 2. That's a cool choice.
In your room.
Very nice.
The pressure is asking.
Okay, alright. And then we go back to full time. Nice. That's a good choice.
Tell yourself you have it balanced well. You lie.
All right, we're taking a ride here. We're drowning out for the bridge again. All right. This is one of the things that I tend to look at, especially when it comes to the bridge, because the bridge is always a good opportunity to do something a little out of nowhere, make an interesting sort of stark, different musical choice than what you've been doing in the rest of the song, which is also part of the reason why I complain when the bridge is actually just the melody and words of the chorus with a slightly different energy. You can do a lot of stuff with the bridge and then bring it all right back into the chorus if you know how to make that transition. And I think sometimes that bridge opportunity can be a bit squandered.
Keeping me up tonight. When do I?
Ooh, okay. All right. All right. All right. And that echo kind of bleeds through into the next song. Very nice. Okay. That was a standard song. That was a half alive song. Trademark. Not a lot of strong feelings about it. Even the lyrics kind of refer to a lot of the stuff that they mention in Bleed It Out, which is, it's another song about emotional honesty. Sort of, we're getting more into the tension of it and how that manifests. Verse 1, key in the door, step inside, just a look, nothing more. Shift your eyes, white knuckle reaction. You're acting, it happens. You smile, it's habit. And tell yourself you have it balanced. Then the chorus, well, you lie, you're losing all control. You tried to hide the signs that something's wrong. Open up your hands, working way too hard to keep it all together. You're a house of cards. Swear that you're not hiding your heart. You lie. Josh saying to this other person, I see you bottling all this shit up. And it's affecting our relationship. So can you just let it out? Can you stop being, emotionally dishonest with me? This song, more so than Bleed It Out, perhaps, is about the problems that come with that tension when you are trying to stuff those feelings down. It does have its own effect on the relationship and also on your own mental health, right? It takes a lot of mental energy and emotional energy to bottle that stuff up. People think that it takes more energy to let it all out, and you can feel a sense of tiredness or wanting to sit down if you're letting things out that you have kept inside for a long time. But the amount of energy that it takes out of you just to consistently keep that shit from coming out has its own effects that manifest in different ways. You end up being a little bit more tense, a little more irritable. You have a little bit less patience because you're saving a lot of your patience for what you're already trying to keep inside of yourself. It's got its own effects, and it is more worth it to just kind of let that shit out. Bleed it out. The bridge is, what was on your mind when you're telling me I'm fine? Looking down when you lie, keeping me out tonight. What's actually in your head when you're telling me that you're fine? Right? What are you actually thinking? It doesn't matter that you maybe don't have the perfect words to express what you're feeling. We can sit down and we can work it out, and I'll be patient as you try and figure it out. But it's affecting the both of us that you're not being honest about this. It's kind of the sense that I get. I think this one's a bit of a skip for me. It didn't have a whole lot special about it. Let's keep going. Track number 8. All My Love, in brackets, imperative, which is an interesting addition to that song. I'm not sure how that imperative manifests, but let's find out.
If you can't see God but it's degenerative.
Okay.
Your
Oh,
activity
okay.
obstructing your ability
Interesting.
to care, falling
Whoa.
too deep in the narrative. Preaching
Interesting.
mercy has significance, it's
Whoa.
embarrassing. You're building
Whoa.
on a false pretense of worth instead of steeping
Whoa,
in tenderness. It's a medicine. If you let it
Okay.
in, you can let me in, and I'll give you all,
Right. Okay.
all my,
All right.
all my
Right.
love. And I'll give you all my love, all my love, all my love. Who you are is where you put the hours in. The value is investing in the infinite. Mercy out and mercy and then mercy in. Take it easy.
Okay. Right.
Take it easy.
Taking it easy. Okay.
There's a beauty in the breaking.
Okay.
Let it in, you can let me in. I'll give you all my love, all
All right.
love, all my love. Give you all my love. I give you all my love. I give you all my
I like that sort of 8-bit sounding
give you all my love.
keys. That's nice. Okay. That one just cuts out right before. That one does not bleed into the next song. So the chain has been broken officially. I couldn't remember if it had been previously broken, but the chain is now broken at track 8. This one also feels like it's got a bit of a religious element, but this one might be more faith positive than the last one was. Verse 1, she said, if you can't see God, it's degenerative. Your activity obstructing your ability to care. Falling too deep in the narrative. Preaching busy as significance. It's embarrassing. You're building on a false pretense of worth instead of steeping the tenderness. It's a medicine. If you let it in, you can let me in. I am gonna be honest, don't know what the hell any of that means. Can't see God, it's degenerative, which is, as someone that isn't really trying particularly hard nowadays to see God, don't appreciate the sentiment. I don't know if this person that's saying that is meant to be portrayed as correct or not. I sure hope not, though, because that's not a great sentiment from where I'm coming from. Your activity obstructing your ability to care. Too deep in the narrative, preaching busy as significance. Okay, so maybe we're talking like works without faith or empty, but faith without works is also empty. You know, that kind of that thing of like, if you have faith, you got to be doing something about it. But if you're doing things, but you don't actually mean them, then that doesn't actually matter. You're not actually doing much good. Maybe that's what we're kind of looking at. Building on a false pretense of worth instead of steeping the tenderness. Building this false pretense of worth because you're doing all of these things. You've got these like stats, you know, on your good Christian baseball card, instead of just sitting in the mindset of tenderness. Might be it. And I wonder if the let me in is a very, very common phrase that you'll hear in a lot of Christian music. This idea of like Jesus waiting to be let in, you know? It's this weird like element of like consent that on one hand is a nice element of like accountability. He's not gonna foist anything upon you that you don't want. It's a weird thing. It's messy to talk about as someone that doesn't really subscribe to this anymore. But I get the sense that the "you can let me in" is coming from the voice of God, because the chorus is "I'll give you all my love, carrying on. When it's all too much later, bleeding hard in my arms, it'll be enough. All my love, give you all my love," which is might as well be a Jesus Culture song, might as well be a Bethel music track. picture of laying your bleeding heart in the arms of Jesus. While it sounds gory to the untrained ear, that's pretty standard imagery in church music. So maybe it is a matter of like not over intellectualizing or being pragmatic about your faith. It's not about like do the good things and you'll be doing Christianity correct. It's just about it's about relationship, as I have often heard. Verse 2 is cherry pick busyness. Are you really balanced if it's counterfeit? Power trip. Who you are is where you put the hours in. The value is investing in the infinite. Mercy out and mercy in. Let mercy in. So again, this kind of fits into where we're going with that idea of like, I'm doing all this stuff for the church. Like I'm playing in the worship band. I'm a youth leader. I'm doing all this shit for the church. I feel like I'm balanced in my faith, but if your heart's not really in it, it's counterfeit. Who you are is where you put the hours in, you know? Where are you spending your time? Value is investing in the infinite, which I actually like how that's put. In Christianity, there's this idea of being in a relationship with the creator of the universe, this personal relationship with an infinite being and what that can mean for your life, and this infinite being merciful and putting mercy out and having that be filled back up by God, as long as you are letting that mercy in. I think is kind of where we're getting at. This idea of like, it's not about doing all the right things inherently. It's good to do good things, obviously, but it only does so much good if you're doing these things for the sake of, you know, that you should be doing good things. If you don't have a personal like tether to a sense of morality that people tend to find in religion, if you're not drawing your energy from that desire to do good things and just more out of obligation, then something's missing, is I think what this song is getting to. Speaking of what the song is getting to, the next song is called The Point. I'm so excited to find out what the point is. What is the point, Josh? The point is a really cool bass riff. Ooh, all right. This could also be a Clancy track so far. Oh yeah, this is a Clancy track. Ooh. All right. Ooh, I like that. All right. Interesting. Right. Interesting. Okay. This is a bridge. This is a freaking bridge. We're taking a break from the quick tempo of the rest of the song. We're taking a second to make an interesting statement that hasn't been made on what the song is trying to say. We're adding a few new elements to the text of the song, as well as the whole like musical makeup of it. This is a bridge. This is a bridge. I don't want to say that as like this is the only way to do a bridge, but this is a really, really nice use of the bridge. Okay. Oh. All right. What are we doing with this? Got a little bit of a nice little bass solo. Okay. All right. Nothing too exciting. Oh. All right, guitars. Nice. How big are we going? All right, yeah, that's nice and big. Yeah, this is nice and big. This is the final chorus. Ooh. Cool. All right, that was fun. That was fun. Following through on the faith commentary again, trying to find like a nice middle ground is what I was trying to find. Was what I was finding there, and I liked that they had that like big final chorus energy. Sometimes it's just a matter of like if you're playing the hi-hat closed through most of the choruses, play that last one with an open hi-hat. It's freaking easy as that, you know? That's all you really need sometimes. This one I feel like is not just about, you know, the spiritual aspect. It seems like we're zooming out a little bit. Verse 1, forever's feeling out of balance, like fighting never-ending patterns you can't win. Motivation looking backwards. Gain the world, but lose your soul. Earning money just to have it. Keeping busy is a habit I can't kick. Who am I when nothing happens? Feel the rush and don't look back now. Okay, all right. So we're getting maybe a little burnt out. Is that what we're doing? We're getting a little too busy. We've been a little too busy for too long. And now we don't know what to do with ourselves when we suddenly get a break. Suddenly, when we have some spare time, we don't like it because we feel like we need to be doing something at all times or we're not useful, and we need to be useful at all times. Choruses go on forever, ever trying to be something way better than just being. And then they repeat that, and then they say, what's the point? So we're having a little bit of a crisis, it seems. Maybe we're zooming out a little too much. Thinking like, am I just gonna be doing these same things forever? Just keeping up this pace for eternity? And trying to be something way better than just being? You know? Trying to be something more than just a human being? And maybe taking a moment to be like, what's the point of that? Why am I trying to be something better than just being? Right? To what end? I think is kind of what we're asking here. Verse 2, who am I without an echo? A million things I couldn't let go all my life. Faith will take me by the collar and say I need to weigh more than unbelief. Which, again, not entirely sure what that last bit is saying there. Who am I without an echo? We're worrying about legacy. What are we leaving behind? Million things I couldn't let go all my life. Faith will take me by the collar. Say I need to weigh more than unbelief. Maybe I'm going to go into the bridge now because I feel like that last thought in the verse kind of leads into what we're saying in the bridge, which is we all worship something or someone. Is it surface? I've been searching. Go on forever, ever trying to be something way better than just being. Okay, now that I'm noticing, hang on a moment. I was saying that this bridge was doing something interesting. They snuck the chorus into the bridge again. Josh, what was I just saying? You gotta you gotta write other words for your bridge. It's a little bit frustrating. Like if you're just gonna be saying the same thing with slightly different rhythm, I don't know. I feel like there's a better use of that spot in the song than just saying the words of the chorus again. That's just my opinion. We all worship something or someone. Is it surface? I've been searching. So maybe the faith will take me by the collar and say I need to weigh more than unbelief. Maybe it's not just about having something to believe in. Maybe it's about having something to push you forward, having something to give you a sense of what you should be doing with yourself, which, you know, faith will often do that. but it seems like we don't really resolve here. We just kind of end the song asking that question of trying to be something way better, and what's the point? Or maybe the point is that you go on forever trying to be something way better. Maybe the point of like anchoring yourself to a certain philosophy or faith or what have you is to give you a way to continually improve yourself. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what they're trying to say, which actually, now I'm thinking about it, is nice. I like that. The idea of like, maybe you don't need a singular destination for your life. Maybe it's better to just kind of give yourself a direction rather than a destination. Perhaps it is about the friends we made along the way, is what I'm trying to say. And with that, I'm going to keep moving to track 10, songs. We've been listening to songs all the way up to this point, but now it's time to listen to songs. In this case, featuring Jordana, who I am not familiar with either. In the last album, they had a song with Orla Garland and Dodie, so it was nice to have some familiar faces. I had no familiar faces in this album other than the main band. Let's see what Jordana's got to say about songs. All right.
Coming over the hill of a
I will say, just right off the top, this is the same tempo that we've had for a lot of the album, which is okay to a certain point, but that is what tends to contribute to an album getting a little samey. You know, it's nice to have some variety of tempos, and they've had a few others, but that tends to be what makes songs on this album my favorite. Like, that's why I like Automatic, is that it was a very specific change in tempo. So the fact that I'm hearing another like sort of up tempo-ish kick snare rhythm kind of causes me to tune out that bit, and I'm taking a step back a little bit because I've heard it before.
clarity. Looking at a town made out of temporary things.
Okay.
At the end of the day, and my soul is all but sold. Think about the things I miss the most.
Okay.
Singing songs with you.
All right.
Trying to remember every harmony. Bringing out the past. The time we get is merciless.
There's a little beat going on.
Together to be in.
There it is. I don't know what that's for. Okay. Cool. Ooh, this is a very interesting sound. Very strange. Okay. All right, we're doing halftime. That's new. All right. And we got that saxophone back. Welcome back. Great to have you. Very nice. All right, some interesting snare placements. I like that. Ooh, piano. That's a dropout. I like it. Ooh. Pretty.
Singing songs with you. I'm trying to remember every harmony.
We haven't had a quiet last chorus.
The moment ain't forever. Let it be
Nice.
infinite. While it lasts,
Nice. Aw. Oh, and then we end it with the saxophone solo. That's a great choice. All right. Ooh, and then that fades out. Nice. That was pretty. Okay. I will admit, I was gearing up for a little sameness. But while it had a similar sort of like the tempo was similar to what we've heard, the rhythmic choices were different. It was a nice sort of like rolling shuffle to it, which I did appreciate. That was quite nice. There's an about section for this one, which is nice. It is a soft and lyrically emotional track about enjoying every moment with a loved one due to the uncertainty of the future. And then they said on Instagram, we knew that the election would be happening the week we released this song. No matter the results, the socio-political climate was and still is extremely divisive. So a song about harmony seemed only fitting. Okay, all right, fair enough. I tend to push back on songs about harmony in response to political divisiveness, especially the political divisiveness that we find ourselves in today, for reasons that are very, very complicated and that I already touched on in previous song in this video. I tend to push back on sort of kumbaya energy in times like these, because I don't actually find that really gets anything done. That's just me. Maybe I'm jaded for having that view, but that is how I feel about it. But a song about harmony and spending and enjoying the time that you have with the person you love, that's all fine and good. I'm going to detach that from the sort of social climate that they were maybe releasing it in, and I'm just going to take the song as it is. Verse 1, coming over the hill of a lapse in clarity, looking at a town made out of temporary things. At the end of the day, when my soul is all but sold, thinking about the things I miss the most. You know, we're in a time when we're not entirely sure what's going to happen. We're very much faced with the impermanence of things. And at the end of the day, before you know, I can call it quits, before I call it quits on the life, you think about the things that you miss most. It's very natural. And according to Josh and Jordana, those things are, in the chorus, singing songs with you, trying to remember every harmony, ringing out the past. The time we get is merciless. So when we are together, let it be infinite while it lasts. That's lovely. Yeah, ringing out the past, the time we get is merciless. Time doesn't give a shit how much more time you want to spend with the people that you want to spend it with. Unfortunately, time is an abstract concept that does not give a fuck. It's unfortunate, but it does give us a reason to enjoy it while it lasts and let it be infinite. Be aware that you're in the golden days before they're over. Verse 2 then is, I've been spending my time soaking in the sun, watching how the daylight hits each particle of dust. Maybe life is a train, destination unknown. Don't know what you've got until it goes, which is it's one of the, it's such a cliche line, but I get it. Sometimes one of the things you want to do with your limited time on Earth is express the cliches that connect with you. And I will not judge you for that. Maybe life is a train. I have heard that it's a highway, but that's just my experience. Destination unknown, true. Watching how the daylight hits each particle of dust. Sometimes part of zooming out and enjoying the time in your life is also learning to zoom in on the little things and enjoy just the tiny little beauties of life and the human experience. That's pretty much it for that. We're gonna keep moving to the final track. We're closing things out with Thank You, which is that's a really good track, or a really good name for a final track. Let's listen to Thank You. Let's see what they're thankful for. What kind of energy are we thanking with? We got an open chord. Nice. Ooh, that's nice. All right, a little bit of finger picking.
Hold
Okay.
tight to my dreaming. The
Sure.
future barks like a dog outside. I'm pretending I don't hear it.
Yeah.
Good days always leaving. See the wrinkles from my parents' eyes deepen. It's been a while since I've seen them. Kinda woke me up. A billion eyes that are waking.
I like that little slowdown there with the piano.
Feel the poison in my own blood. Every night I try to
We got
face
some
it.
textures coming in.
Every mountain try to face it. Every
Very
failure
nice.
try to face it. Feel the poison in my own blood. I know the fever breaks. Every shadow of change. When it's good, when it's painful. All that is, I say thank you.
Ooh. That was a cool chord. So many lovely little touches in this song. I like it. Those chords hit a little harder than I expected. Okay. Lovely little touches.
To reach heavy in the silence. Till the whistle cries.
Wow. There's an extra 10 seconds. Are we going to hear some studio sound? No. Okay. What a lovely note to end on. Sometimes I like a big finale, but I like ending this. I like the idea of ending this one on a quiet note. There was a lot of like anxiety and uncertainty baked into this album, probably because they were very much contemplating the circumstances that they were writing it in, you know, worldwide. And so to have that like sort of last thought being very contemplative and quiet was a nice choice. I appreciate that. And this very much seems like just kind of a closing the book on what we've been talking about in the album. Taking life for what it's worth, enjoying it while you've got a mind to, appreciating that things don't last forever, and enjoying those things while you have them. Verse 1 I really appreciate. Tucked in like I'm sleeping, hold tight to my dreaming, the future barks like a dog outside, I'm pretending I don't hear it. The good days always leaving, see the wrinkles around my parents' eyes deepen. Been a while since I've seen them, kind of woke me up. That last bit about seeing your parents' eyes deepen, that hits. As someone that does not live particularly close to my parents anymore, we're close, we have a great relationship, but I live in a province over from them. And so usually every time I see them, it has been a while. And I am dreading a little bit now that I have this in my head of seeing the wrinkles around their eyes deepen. I'm dreading that I'm going to have that in my head when I see them for the holidays. Yeah, that's just it wakes you up. It's a harsh awakening, truly, to have these people that raised you and kind of witness them aging in their own temporality. I don't like thinking about that. The chorus is every shadow of change, when it's good, when it's painful, all that is, all that has been. Every dagger of grace is a gift. I am grateful. All that is, I say thank you. Which I do think has a bit of a note of, this is something that you'll find in a lot of Christian music, is a lot of the time you'll have this second person that you're singing to that is often God, and having that specific but also abstract person to sing to can make for some interesting like lyric and songwriting choices that I think you don't see in non-Christian music. Like the idea of saying to God or whatever like vague deity you can think of that may represent sort of the world and the universe, you can still write lyrics like these. You can still say, all that is, I say thank you. You don't have to write that to the Christian God. And I think it is a cool way to kind of say thank you to the universe for all the good and all the bad. Every dagger of grace, which is a really interesting phrase that I can only read into so much. Every dagger of grace is a gift. I am grateful. And this mentality of like taking the good and the bad as having its own specific worth is also something that I think you often find in a lot of religious circles. And because in those circles you are receiving a lot of your life experiences, both good and bad, from God, like God is making those things happen, which also leads to its own problems and is also its own cause in a lot of people disconnecting from their faith, is having a hard time saying thank you for those experiences, which is also fair. I totally get that. Is also a very, very valid approach to that. Not everything, I don't think you are obligated to be thankful for everything that happens to you just because it happened. Verse 2 then is a billion eyes that are waking, a billion hearts that are breaking, feel the poison in my own blood. Every night I try to face it, every mountain try to face it, every failure try to face it, feel the poison in my own blood, but another fever breaks. Just this experience of like acknowledging yourself as one in a sea of human experiences, as we've done a couple times throughout this album. Taking the challenges as they come. Sometimes you win, sometimes you get through them. Sometimes it takes a bit more damage than you expected. Verse 3, can't count on the timing, can't plan on arriving, feel the balance in soil and in the wind while I'm driving. Time moves like a river, each breath I'm reminded to reach heavy in the silence till the whistle cries. The whistle I'm referring to, I'm assuming refers to like a train whistle, but also kind of signals the end of a journey, which then you can read into as the end of life. Can't count on the timing, can't count on when that whistle's gonna blow, can't plan on arriving anywhere particular. You just feel the balance in the soil, feel your relationship to the earth and to the physical world. Feel your body in the space of where you are and in the wind while you're driving. Feel yourself interacting with the world. Each breath you're reminded to reach heavy in the silence, to just kind of savor it, to savor just being in the world and taking up space in it until you don't, which I think is a lovely sentiment to leave the album on. And that is the end of the album. That's the end of Persona, which is an interesting title to have for this album now that we've been through the end of it. It is a very introspective album. There's a bit of outrospective stuff going on here, but a lot of it is digging into your own shit and your own conflicts, Josh's conflicts in faith and purpose, finding one's place and role in the world and how to interact with it, and understanding your relationship to that and understanding how you are presented in that as your persona. That was lovely. I don't know if I like this more or less than Conditions of a Punk. I think there are certain songs that I very, very much liked from this album, and certain ones that I could probably take or leave. Half Alive continues to be a band that I hope for great things from, but don't always get them. And I think that's totally fine for both me and for Half Alive. It's hard to blow people's minds with every album. And with certain songs, they got pretty close, but they can't all be bangers. So, hope you enjoyed this reaction, even if I didn't have the strongest feelings about it, apparently. If you've got your own thoughts or own interpretations of these songs, let me know in the comments. I love reading people's thoughts on these albums. Everyone's got their own take, and I do love getting those different angles on this music. If you like the video, you can click the like button, helps me out. If you've got other suggestions for other albums that you think I would enjoy listening to, let me know. I'll put them in the queue and I'll see if they make the cut. If you have not subscribed, now's a good time to do that. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for watching through to the end. If you did, I do a lot of this. I do a lot of gaming. A lot of fun stuff with my friends. If you're interested in any or some of that, maybe subscribing is the way to go. If you want to directly support the channel in a monetary fashion, I have a fourth wall site that you can go to. Streamlines, if you want to make a donation, that's the place to go. If you want to become a channel member, that's the place to go. If you want merch, that's the place to go. You can do any or all of those things. Anything is hugely appreciated, and you will get a shout out at the end of these videos if you do that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.